What's going on, ladies and gents? Dalibor here for T3G, and today we're going to be reviewing the Logitech G510s gaming series keyboard. Now, I love this friggin' thing, and a bunch of different options, a bunch of different features. We're going to get right into it. Now, this is a full keyboard with an additional, what is this, 6, no, so 12, no, that's not, that's bad math, 6, 12, 18 extra keys. They're also numbered, so I don't know why I counted them. So you got 18 extra keys that you can assign in Windows. You can assign it in games. There are some preloaded game loadouts. So with this, I use the World of Warcraft profile. I'm thinking of actually switching and not doing that anymore and just assigning these manually in WoW, because that's kind of one of the quirks is when you do have those profiles loaded, they tend to not automatically switch. So I don't know if that's a miscommunication of the software to Windows, where it doesn't recognize if WoW is open or what's going on. But that's one of those that's one of those little quirks. But otherwise, love having those extra buttons. I'm able to assign, all the combination keys, all the things that I would used to have to do, like Control S or Control 1, Control 2, Shift, Control, etc. Just assign those to one of those buttons, and it's lovely. Now with this, you do have kind of what is now, I feel, standard in the Logitech game series. You've got your memory buttons in the top left here, where you can select one of your 3 color profiles. You've got your screen, which I know some of the lower models don't have a display, but this one does. It can display your clock. It can display your, right now I've got it on CPU and RAM. It can display what profile you're using, and you can actually also use it to switch your profile. So this is kind of like an all-in-one display for all the features. You've got your headphone jack and microphone. Now this is a little different. Like for instance, the G19 that I have does not have this. It has USB ports as a hub. This one has it's a standard headphone and microphone jack. The nice thing about that, it's got control, so you can actually mute just the headphones manually and mute the microphone manually from there. So it's pretty sweet, because it gives you kind of an individual control system for that. You, of course, got your Windows button off, so your game mode, I guess, switch, where it turns off the Windows button. And then you've also got your, basically, light switch for everything, where it turns off the lighting. And your media controls, volume controls, which is my key necessity on a keyboard now. Now, it doesn't have the calculator button, but because, like I said, you can assign those G buttons to anything, I've got G2 assigned to pull up my calculator, so anytime I need that, it's an automatic single button press. Now, of course, all the keys are LED backlit, and these are customizable through the entire broad range of LED lighting options, so you can do any color specs you want. I've got 3 specs. Actually, I forgot. I got 2 specs, because I only keep it to 1 because my computer is red and black, so I keep this red and black. And you can modify that to pretty much any color you want. And the display changes, the keys all change. You can actually have it do animations, pulsing, all that kind of stuff. And that's all doable through the software. This actually did come with this wrist guard, wrist rest kind of thing. And it actually is detachable, so if you don't like it, you can remove it. The G badge is on both portions, on the keyboard itself and on the wrist rest. So you actually don't lose it if you remove it, which is nice. It's kind of like it's a really cool badge, I think, for a keyboard. It's not really functional in any way, but it just looks cool. I think the one little extra would be cool is if it lit up, but that's just kind of like a little extra thing that's not necessary, but I think it'd be kind of cool. Now, of course, this is not a mechanical keyboard, so these are membrane switches on here. I would say, obviously, because it is a gaming series, they're above average. They're not, it's not a ton of feedback on them, but it gives you a good feel overall, I think. I've typed on them, obviously I've gamed on them, and I really haven't had much problems with it. I do find myself kind of hitting extra buttons. I've kind of got a fast and heavy hand when typing, so to me, I think I'm going to eventually have to switch up to like a brown switch or something like that, mechanical, where it's got a little more pushback, but otherwise, overall, I think it's got a good feel for a keyboard, better than a cheap keyboard, not quite as good as a mechanical, obviously. Kind of a good midline keyboard feel for the keys themselves. Now, to reinforce the fact that this is a gaming keyboard, Logitech went ahead and changed the color of the WASD keys and the arrow keys. So for your movement and your, depending on what kind of game you're doing, your movement keys are all separate colors, which realistically most gamers know where those are. So is not really functional in any way, but it kind of gives it a nice little look because it's something special. It looks a little different than your standard average keyboard. This does have a non-braided cable, but it is a nice heavy-duty USB cable, which does actually give us about 6 feet. So pretty much anywhere your computer is, you can hook this thing up. And pretty much an average plug, nothing really, it's not like an extra robust plug or anything. But it is a pretty thick cable, pretty sturdy cable, and definitely extra longer than most keyboard cables, I'd say. Now, the keyboard is obviously plastic. It's got kind of 2 different textures on it. The wrist rest has a little more friction to it. The center area is actually kind of a blue, almost like a metallic finish inside. And then we've got our kind of glossy black on the back portion of it, as well as also another section of kind of more coarse plastic. So it's an interesting design overall. I like the fact that the entire keyboard section is isolated with that kind of metallic blue. Gives us kind of a cool look. You really can't see it at an angle unless you're really looking on top of it, and it's kind of like a deep blue. And again, it's gonna get that metallic. Like if you've ever seen a metallic car, that's kind of what it looks like. Now, as I said, as far as the negatives, the one main thing is that the profile switching tends to be a little erratic. It's not really a constant thing that happens. It is definitely, I would say out of a week's worth of gaming, it maybe happens once, twice if it's a really like weird week. But really, like once a week, I'd say if anything, it will just not switch profiles when I turn on a game. And it'll fix it if I come out of the game, go back in, or obviously you can just manually select it and lock it to that profile. The only downfall of that, if you lock it to a profile, is once you switch out of the game, obviously you don't have your standard buttons. So if you, let's say, like myself, I use the calculator a lot. If I lock it to World of Warcraft, come back out, I have to manually go back and switch back to default because I won't be able to access my actual calculator and whatever I have one to do. All right, so in the software, we've actually got several things that we could do with the keyboard. From the home view, you can actually pick out which little section to go to, or you can use the options down here at the bottom. So you can go to the G keys, and then right here, this is in which profile we're working in. Right now we're in World of Warcraft profile for some reason. Let's switch back. See, it actually tells you what it's switched to. So this says wallpaper, this says calculator. So actually, I don't know why it opened the browser. I'm going to have to fix that. It didn't work. So technically, when pressing G1, my system should change wallpapers. G1. Nope. Definitely not that. Alright, so we'll have to figure that out. Alright, so anyway, this is where you would change your lighting options. So right now that's white. Is that also white? Well, let's change that. So right here we just go to the colors. We're going to pick out, that's going to be M2. We're just going to go to a hard blue. And it's instant. You can actually see that it's an instant transition. So switching back and forth, we're going to switch to a white. Let's go to like a yellow on this. So boom, instant transition, and you've got options. You can go lighter, you can go darker with it. Really just a lot of options as far as color, and you pretty much push the LEDs to their functionality. You can control the brightness of it, you can dim it down, you can increase it, and then you could also just mess with the hue settings, and really you've got just different ways to adjust what you want. But I'm going to stick with red since that is my computer scheme, and we'll just leave that there. Now right here you can actually select what's going to be on your display. Right now I only have this profile selector, the clock, and the performance monitor. You can put in a media display, which is kind of weird. I've never tried that on this display since it is a monochrome display, but I really don't know how that would work. RSS reader would be interesting if you do a lot of blog following, if you follow a lot of blogs. POP3 monitor, so that just follows your email. Make sure it's going to notify you if you get emails. Windows 10 already does that, so I don't need that. Countdown timer, if you do anything that's timed. If you need kind of a quick access timer, you can put that there. And then the button here, this application button, will switch to the next applet or list the running applet. So if you push this, normally you could give it either the option to list everything that's running or switch over. Now you can save profiles. You can actually save them to a flash drive. So if somebody else, or if you have, let's say you have one of these at every computer, at work, at home, 2 computers, 3 computers, whatever, you can put that all on a memory card, and when you plug in, you just pick out your profiles and it'll automatically set everything that you save. So if I was to customize this, color, button selections and everything like that, save it to a memory card, I can take that to any computer that has a G510s and put my memory card in and pull that profile on. It'll switch everything over to use how I like, which is an awesome feature. The final thing here is the keyboard analysis. Now, I've never really actually looked into what this does for you. I don't really see any benefit out of it. You kind of just type for a while and it tells you what keys you use the most, how hard you press them. I think it's an interesting thing to know, but otherwise I don't really see a ton of use out of it. And the software is universal, so for any other Logitech devices, so I've obviously got the G600 over here, everything's all in one, so it tells you, you kind of have, you could move those profiles over. So if I choose a specific combination of red here, you can obviously keep you've got your numbers here, you would just switch over and say, all right, well, let's go to the color selection, and be like, boom, this is the exact same thing. So kind of keep everything the same scheme if you've got everything of the same brand and gaming style. So all in all, this is, I think, a great keyboard. Outside of going to a much more expensive, G710 or 700 or whatever it is, that's the mechanical entry level, I think this is a great option. I'm eyeing a couple of different mechanical keyboards with some different options. I'm still kind of trying to find my full kind of final style as far as gaming, so I'm still going to look into a couple different options, but this and the G19 are so far my absolute favorites. I know the G19 has been out for a while, but I'll probably still end up doing a review of that just because I do love that, and this is definitely a great addition to that little family. So I think overall I'm super happy with this thing. Aside from that one little glitch, I think, like I said, I think I'm just going to fix that by switching to assigning those keys in while not actually in the software. But I'm definitely going to keep my default profile on for Windows assignments, because that's kind of nice to have, honestly, once I figure out whatever happened to my G1 key. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. If you guys have any questions on the G510s, make sure you drop them down below. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Check out T3GTech.com, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. We got a couple contests. Right, click on that guy right there for the main one. And yeah, see you guys next time. What's going on, ladies and gents? Dalibor here for T3G, and today we're going to be reviewing the LG G510s. That's what it is. G510s. It is a gaming series laptop from LG, and I love this thing, man. I love this thing. Except for like one or two kind of little quirks, but overall this is a great thing, and I'm going to get into it.